Okay, all right. We are the second of back-to-back design meetings that we're live streaming. This one is hopefully the end of the story of network packet capturing for 11.3. And what we're trying to deal with is we have agreed that there are many different ways that one might want to have interfaces to real-time data acquisition functions, from ones that are pretty much pure programmatic, say record this for X number of seconds, to ones that have a GUI and so on. I mean, I think one of the things that I think we're convinced of, but I'd like to confirm that, is that the GUI and the programmatic versions of these functions have to be distinct. Do we agree? So for example, audio capture, which is the direct analog of network packet capture, right, is a distinct function from anything that does just capture audio for X number of seconds or something. So this thing here, oh gosh, we still got this. Why haven't we got the new graphic design of this?
Mainly, I've just been really busy.
Okay, all right, fine. But the design is made, right? So it's a question
Yes,
of installing.
the design is finalized. Yes, I just haven't hooked it up in builds yet.
Okay, all right. Okay, so the issue right now is, given this network packet capture mechanism, we're going to have a function network packet recording, which is the purely programmatic, just go out and fetch these packets. But we need to design what the actual argument structure of this is, and reminding ourselves network packet capture. Oops, that's not what I meant. I meant network packet capture, that's right. So that is being given, that is being prompted with a certain service or a certain spec, right? So for example, I could say something like, what can I say for network packet capture? I could say something like port. How do I do that? How do I say just port 80?
Well, I mean, in the documentation page, you would just say 80 as a number, but that's
no. But let's imagine that I want to do ports above. Let's say I want to do ports below 80. Okay, how would I say that?
so. I mean, this won't work in the build, but you'd use interval in the.
Okay, but isn't there a way of giving a spec?
Right, you do port goes to interval from, I guess, 0 to 80.
Okay, so there are
I
no
think you
more
should
general
use span,
criteria.
probably. Span is
Yeah, I think span
discrete
is better than interval. Do we document the fact that we support span?
I mean, I haven't implemented. I mean, if you want, I can add span. That's fine.
I think you want something that doesn't expand. Otherwise, range would be fine, but span stays as is. It's a short specification.
Right. But now, but the spec here is a purely, it's a static spec. It's not an arbitrary function or anything like that. Is that correct? On the live stream, somebody is suggesting between, and what the
It's a discrete set.
well, it is a discrete set, but there's, you see, the problem is that between is really a querying function. And, you know, that would be more like what we've done in some of these other cases where, for example, if we say, you know, whatever, what is it called? Face, find faces, right? So in find faces, there is a function that is the criterion for what the face that you're finding is. And that function is, where is it? Maybe it isn't in the documentation yet. Where you can say, you know, hash age greater than whatever for find faces. And so that we can imagine, here we go. Am I wrong? Yeah, there we go. Hash feature, blah, 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 blah. Right? And so one could imagine a similar thing for network packet capture, where you're taking all of these things, and you're saying things like hash port is greater than 80 or something. Does that make sense, or is that impossible, or what's the story? Yeah.
So now you're wanting to use slots, like named slots.
Well, it's what we've done in some other places. I mean, here, what you're doing is you're saying port arrow such and such a thing, right?
Yes.
So you're basically describing what you want using an association, which is analogous to what we do in something like text search, right? I mean, there's really three different things running around here. One is the case of associations in text search and so on, where you're basically just saying this field value is this, or similarly from a form. Another case is the case of something like implicit entities, where you're able to give a function on the right-hand side of the property value. And the final one is what we're doing as a criterion in things like find faces, where you're basically saying a function applied to the association that's being returned. See, for example, in the case of this, every line here is an association, right? Ian?
I mean, yeah. Sorry, I didn't realize that was a question.
Oops. So this is just some random, whatever. Okay, so that's a random association that has all this information like source port and so on. So in principle, if I said, or if I, for example, said if I took this association, but you're saying that what we can do anyway would be something like in here, I could say, that's a data set, and I could say select hash source port, if I'm not mistaken, greater than 50,000. Is that right? Is that going to work?
That should work, yes.
That's pretty cool. Oh, for goodness sake, why did it do that? Why is it doing this? This window tracking thing is broken. Okay, so your argument might be that's good enough. And by the way, we should make sure we have examples that show things like this. Can we make sure of that?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
I mean,
so
it's the data set syntax that we're using, right? That works.
yeah, right, exactly. But the question is whether we need to filter at source or whether filtering here is enough.
No, we do need filter at source, right? Because you could be having like hundreds or thousands of these packets coming in, and we
Sure.
have the ability to filter them at the source.
Right, but we don't have the ability to filter them this way at the source. We have the ability to do certain filtering at the source sufficiently.
So, yeah, certain filtering. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. Sorry, I misunderstood. The query with source port greater than 50,000, you could represent that with a range. You could go 50,000.
No, I understand, but that's a completely different syntax that you're talking about there. So that's a network packet capture, and then we will be saying of port arrow, and one possibility here would be to do it like, to allow the possibility of doing it like in implicit entities, where we would just say greater than such and such. Am I making sense?
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to what you're doing right now, which is to say network packet capture of port 80, for example. That didn't work. Why didn't that work? Because it should be an association. Well, should that work, or should it go in an association there?
I mean, we can support the naked rule. That's fine.
I'm not sure we need to.
Okay, that's easier for me.
Okay, so the spec, well, okay, it says here can be given in the form key arrow value or as an association. So it claims that that is supported. So if it, we either have to change that claim or support it. Okay.
I mean, it's up to you. I mean, I initially did not have key goes to value as a single rule and then you wanted to add that, but I haven't had time to implement that yet. And so now we're revisiting this. So it's up to you. If you
I think we should have it, but I'm not that passionate about it. Let's do the rest of the design, then let's loop back to this. Okay, so the rest of the design has to do with what how to specify. So what we have here is we can specify it by time. So if we do network packet recording, we can say, so right now, if you say 0.1 here or 0.05 or something, that's simply going to be that number of seconds, right?
Yep.
Okay, so the things that we care about are, in terms of defining that, we went through this yesterday. Do we have the document from this, please? Who's PMing here?
I am.
And where is the document?
Let me see. The one from yesterday?
The one from yesterday.
Yes, that is in your Dropbox and the CSC. So ILD, SW notes, and then core software engineering.
Okay, and then what?
Network packet capture 202.
Okay. All right, here we go. Okay. This is all right. So these are the parameters that determine how much recording to do, if I'm not mistaken. Ian?
Yes, that is correct.
Those are the only ones.
Well, I mean, yeah. So you'd also mentioned making the expression case into a different function.
I know that, but we're coming back to the question of can we include it in the same function?
I mean, potentially, yeah. But
Right.
those are the only three specifications.
Okay. Okay. But we've also got then, so we've really got two different pieces. We've got how long to record and what to record, right? Is that correct?
Yep.
Actually, someone on the live stream is asking, can we apply a domain name filter, have it automatically do the DNS lookup for you and show packets for any destination IP matching the DNS records? Interesting. So, I mean, that would be doing the host lookup, if I'm not mistaken, from is that right?
Well, yeah. I mean, so I think the real thing they're asking is have because PCAP can do this when at the source level, basically.
Why is this not working? What am I? Oh, is that am I going the wrong way around? How do I do the lookup from the IP address?
I think that's just a invalid, or I mean, there's not a domain name associated with that IP address. I mean, if you do like host lookup of wolfram.com or something, and then do host lookup of the IP address you get back from that, that should work.
Okay. Okay, so the question is so what's the interpret the question then?
Okay, so PCAP has the ability to filter by domain name when it does doing the DNS lookup at the source level as these packets are being generated, and it's a little slower to do that lookup. So for this initial release, we weren't going to support doing that at the source level. We were just going to do IP address because it's a little bit more work and it's slower to do domain name.
But so what would we do syntactically if we wanted it to be by domain name? We would have to have in our set of criteria, we'd have to look at, so what would be the idea for how that would work? In the spec here, we would have to say domain name or something. Is that correct?
Yeah, I would say domain. That's the most consistent with URL read, URL execute, etc.
Okay,
Domain.
but so what we would be adding is something here that says, in addition to IP address, we would have something that says, here we would have something that basically says domain. And we would have a source domain, destination domain, and everything, right?
Yep, that is exactly right.
just to remind ourselves that we need to do this, but that would be something that we would that you could give as a criterion. But what about in the return values here? You would have to do the lookup yourself because we don't want to take the extra time to go do the lookup.
Because I mean, for a majority of these cases, I feel like there's not going to be an associated domain name, right? For all these like Zoom servers and things. I mean, for your case, I don't think there's going to be domain names for all these, and so trying to do that lookup, because it'll fail most of the time, will be very expensive in terms of time, especially when you have hundreds of packets.
Yeah, fair enough. So then this is the case where if there is a domain associated with a particular, so just to add this, it would be domain, and then it would be something like source domain, destination domain. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, I don't know if you want to put it. Yeah, I guess below IP address makes sense. Yeah.
And then for right now, we're just going to futurize these. What did this just do? Am I using some weird prototype build here? I am probably, and this probably refused to futurize more than one. What on earth? Well, whatever. Okay, it's a little funky. Okay, so looping back to the original issue, right? So again, for network packet, okay, so we have not discussed the possibility of having a more sophisticated right-hand side for this key arrow value thing, which I don't think we should do right now. And okay, so wait a second. So then here we also want to talk about the use of span. Let's see. Elements such as port can have values, kind of specified values.
There's already a table up above about this.
Silly me. Okay, right. Okay, but Roger is pointing out that interval isn't really the right thing. It really should be span.
I mean, okay. Okay.
I mean, we might as well support both of them. It doesn't really matter. Right?
Yeah, I mean,
Roger, do you want to comment on this any further?
I didn't think interval evaluated either, so.
It doesn't. It doesn't. Both should work.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we should document span because I think it's the more consistent thing. But I think interval is fine to support. Make sense?
Sure.
Do we have to change this in the other documentation as well?
I can do that. As long as one of the pages is up to date, I can synchronize.
Okay. All right. But we should support span and interval, both of them.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. Let's come back here again to the main question we're trying to ask, which is, what is the first argument of network packet recording? And I think the consistent thing to do would be to have it be able to be an association of the kind that I specified here. Now, the only issue is with this expression thing. Roger, can you comment on this, please?
Which expression?
Well, this thing here. So the issue is, okay, the issue is we've got these three different cases. They could overlap. And what do we do if they, okay, first of all,
Yeah, I think you have, if you allow general code and general things, you have to have a very definite rule, like first to be satisfied.
So what can we, Ian, is that easy to do, or what can we do there?
I mean, rule delayed is the that's ideal because, for example, you don't want it to evaluate.
No. I'm
Or,
asking a different question. We've got 3 different criteria: duration, packet count, and evaluation duration of an expression, right?
Yes, those
Okay.
are the 3.
So what I want to understand is, we could do a design where, so first question is, what should the default be? If you just give 0.1, does it mean 0.1 seconds or 0.1 packets received?
I think numbers should be interpreted as time because that's, I think, the most common use case where people are just like, I want to record for 10 seconds or 5 seconds or whatever. So I think number, like just a bare number, that should be the duration, is my argument for the elided form.
Okay. Well, the argument against that is, then how would you specify packet count?
I mean, you'd have to put it in an association, I guess, or a rule like packet count goes to 10, or units. Those are two.
Well, we do have units for packets, but we more easily have units for time. All right, I guess I'm prepared to go with this. But then let's take a look here. So right now we have this in, oh boy. Okay, we have these things in a list, right? The time and the service and so on. I think that's probably wrong, and we probably want to break those apart as separate arguments. Do you agree or do you not agree?
I agree.
Okay. So can you just go ahead and do that? I'll break the first one here.
Yep, that's fine.
Okay.
I can update all the other ones.
Okay, fine. So then, okay, so then the alternative form here would be network packet recording of, so now there's 2 cases we have to cover. There's the packet count and there's this expression thing. Okay. I'm still not super happy with this because I don't think it makes a lot of sense to give both. Well, I mean, maybe it does. You say it's either I want to record for 10 minutes or, yeah, it's not totally stupid. Background noise, by the way. We've either got, I want to record either for 10 minutes or until I've seen 1,000 packets. Am I making sense?
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot harder to implement, the or condition.
Well, what is easy to, I mean, that would be the most useful thing. So what is the, I mean, we're right at the deadline here. So what is the easy thing to implement for this experimental version?
The easy thing to implement is to say, if there are multiple, we either fail and just say you can only have one of them.
Well, okay, then we can't have an association because that doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
Or what? Or we pick up the first one or something?
I mean, yeah, we could pick up. I think the safe design is that what we do, like you said, where the first argument is just how long to record, and for now we just support like a naked rule for the other, for duration or whatever, or not packet count rather, and then later on maybe 12 or whatever. Then we support this association, which does the more complicated, either or situation, and that has.
All right,
the full association.
Okay, how do we deal with the expression case? Or do we have another function? Does it even work to imagine this? Okay, let's review what the expression case does. Okay, first of all, I assume it is implementable.
Yes, it's currently, I mean, the implementation right now behind the scenes is actually a lot closer to what audio record does. Is I just start a stream and then pause for however many seconds, and then stop the stream and return the data set. So.
Okay, but then how do you do it with this expression? Instead of doing a pause, you evaluate the expression. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Okay, so one of the disadvantages of this way of doing it is you don't get the return value here.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Do you care about
kind
the
of
return
wrong.
value though?
Well, I would think that you, yes, for the same reason as when you're doing absolute timing, you care about the return value. Sure you do. I think this is actually wrong because, okay, so let's right? I mean, if I say absolute timing, then I am timing how long something takes, and I am also getting the result, right? And I think this is the same type of thing. Let's see.
So following the same case of absolute timing, where you're saying, give me the absolute timing of this expression. In that case, then maybe, well, I was going to say network packet recording could just support time, and then we do something else for, or sorry, network packet recording, because it ends in like, you know, ing of an expression could operate the same way absolute timing does. And then we have another function that does the time of the packet step.
Maybe. Hey, Roger, what do you think? Roger?
Roger's not on Zoom. I'm not sure where he is right now.
Okay, is our node here?
Yep, I'm here.
Do you have comments on this?
I'm sorry, I was on the chat answering questions. There were some questions about other recordings that you made about neural networks, so I was missed the question.
Okay. So
I am paying attention.
Okay. So let's see. The question is, what is happening here is similar to what happens in absolute timing, as in an expression is evaluated, but we want to know something about what happened while that was going on. And we might want both things. We might want both absolute timing and network packet recording. And Ian is pointing out, I think correctly, that the network packet recording sounds a lot more like, you know, absolute timing, and suggests that the thing that is most analogous to network packet recording is device read time series, except that it happens to give a time series. And the capture function is the one that is giving the UI. This is what is, okay, so we've got these different cases.
So that seems reasonable to me. What it's
No, but we've got to actually decide on three. If we're going to have three different functions, we've got to figure out what they are.
Well, what's the third one? Capture, recording, and what's the third one?
Capture generates a UI.
Okay.
Okay, this one here, what is currently called network packet recording, simply generates a data set. Okay? I mean, it is in a sense, but I don't like it. Network, no, I don't like this at all. I don't like that. I mean, the analog here is there is current image, which goes ahead and captures an image, right, and just returns the image. I mean, again, this is different in behavior. The network packet capture, unlike image capture, which allows you to repeatedly capture images, it only does one, right? It's a one-shot thing.
Okay. That doesn't make sense for network packets unless you want to have like a current network packet and it gives you one or something. That seems a little weird. So I don't see the analogy there.
I know, but network packet capture is the name that I think is a good name for this one-shot. Yeah, for this thing that brings up a GUI.
Yeah,
so
but that's what it does. So.
Here's another. So what if instead, so we have a function that specifically just takes an expression and does, so the expression version is a different function. Now we could have it be like you said, network packet capture or network packet recording during, which I think is very verbose, or we could have something a little bit simpler like network packet activity of X per, network packet traffic of X per, something like that. That's like, here's the traffic, here's the activity during this expression.
So we could do network packets during expression.
So we're just trying to separate the.
No, because that has to return something more like absolute timing. That is, it has to return the packets and the result. See what I'm saying?
And I think that argument, it returning something similar to absolute timing is the best argument for it being a different function.
Carlo, who turns out to be here as well, is assuming he can actually speak. Is saying,
Yes.
what about something with trace in it?
Network packet trace.
I don't quite believe that, especially since trace in the world of network packets probably means something different.
Well, it would trace the network packets during the evaluation of expression. That's not completely crazy, I think. It will capture things that are completely unrelated to the evaluation of expression, but that's a different.
What are you saying? Network packet. What were you saying was not crazy?
Network packet trace.
I don't believe in it because it suggests tracing packets, which suggests going and looking, like trace route and things.
I agree. I don't think trace.
Okay.
Network packets during seems the least crazy of the things that I've seen so far. Now, the only question is whether network packet recording is the right name.
Are there other functions that we have that end in during already? So
I don't believe so.
Okay.
But we don't have other functions that do
network packets while.
No, because that suggests a criterion.
I don't know. I'm just brainstorming.
Well, okay. Do we think network packet recording is the right name?
I think it could also alternatively be network packet activity or network packet traffic.
What's it called in Wireshark? Does it have a name there? Is there sort of?
One second, I'm pulling Wireshark up.
Yeah.
But I don't understand
Capture.
look, if we're calling network packet capture that, it doesn't make a lot of sense to talk about both capture and traffic. Perhaps capture is the wrong name.
No, I really like capture. I think capture is correct because so then we just have to find something analogous.
Okay, well, the analogous thing, so in the case of audio, so Carlo, can you speak to the audio case? What had we agreed for the case of record audio for 1 second and just return it?
So that is not implemented, but we were thinking of just having audio record. Having to just fire and forget behavior.
But wait a minute, audio record returns an audio stream.
Audio record, yes, sorry. I was thinking about audio recording.
Okay, audio recording,
yes.
Just like network packet recording. It's a very funny part of speech.
Yes.
What is it that it does? It is, look at what it, okay. What it says is records information. What do we have that is similar to this? Unfortunately,
What about gather? Network packet gather?
I don't believe in that. reminds me of the whole gather by family of things. I also don't really like the network packets plural being used in this form here. I mean, I agree, network packet activity. Don't know. Okay, what are we going
There's
to do?
not a lot of synonyms for record. So.
Well, I mean, we could go in a different direction where it's the network packet data, for example.
Do we really have a data function that, you know, has a time kind of specifier?
No.
All the other data functions are like.
Yeah, you're right. That's wrong. Let's look at device read time series. Let's see whether it references anything else that's similar. How great, it references network packet recording.
Accumulate, assemble, amass.
Way too poetic.
Transcribe, network packet transcribe.
No, but why not just describe what it is? The problem is that we've locked ourselves in with network packet capture, which is kind of a verb. Like, I mean, if we say ping time, for example, right, that just is a I mean, what are the analogous things that we're dealing with in a case like that? Let's see.
Network packet read. Network packet import.
That one is more plausible. I just don't know how to get it to be easy to remember what is capture versus, you know, how do we remember what does capture do versus, you know, which has a GUI versus a thing that is purely programmatic? I kind of think network packet recording is probably okay for what it is. So then we have to solve the problem of how do we do, I mean, potentially this crazy act thing of just, you know, potentially you could say, you know, you could want to record, okay, so here's a weird thing. Imagine you want to record sounds while an expression is being evaluated. Right?
Mm-hmm.
How on earth would you do that with the things we're currently specifying? Now, you could do that with the audio record audio stop mechanism.
It's like a block, network packet block or module.
No, but
it's like a scoping thing, right? Like,
yes,
during the evaluation of something, it's, you know, like, it's, I mean, block and module are probably not the right names, but it's kind of like during the scope of the evaluation of the expression, you want it to do something.
That's correct.
So what are some options there?
I mean, we could just forego the expert version entirely and instead do something similar to audio record and just have network packet record, which returns some
No, because this is the most useful case. I mean, this is what people are actually going to want to do much of the time. Is they're going to want to say, I want to run this, you know, do this URL, execute, and then I want to see what happens.
Network packet with.
It's not the right way round.
With.
No, it's not the right way round. I mean, with would mean
Yeah, I know. There's already a function called width, so that doesn't. Okay, let's see here.
What about maybe analyze as like network packet analyze
But
of
why would
expression?
that? It doesn't make, I mean, it's going to be very hard to remember. Explain to me why recording is different from analyze. What's it doing that, what analysis is it doing that the other
I
one
don't
isn't doing?
Yeah, never mind.
Network packet evaluation.
No, I mean, the problem is also that realistically, the network packets may have absolutely nothing to do with the expression.
Yeah.
They could be just drive-by cosmic rays, so to speak. I mean, I think during, even though it's kind of horrifying, maybe the best thing because it is at least the most honest.
Yeah.
It is a slightly bizarre thing.
Are there other words like during? I mean, I don't dislike during, but it's.
Well, the other question is what comes before it. Is it networks packets, which I don't think. I mean, probably the least crazy is probably network packet recording during. But then, noting that its return structure is different from network packet recording.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise it's identical, other than, I mean, there's a certain, to come up with another name. Look, I think this is probably the right thing. Network packet recording during. Somewhat weird, but probably right.
Okay, so then this could either take one argument, which is expr, which is give all packets, or the second argument, just like network packet recording, the second argument is the filter spec.
That is correct. So, okay, so then this would be network packet recording during. Let's see if I can make a typo in the basic function. Okay, so then this is, let's look at how absolute timing describes this.
Whilst is another, it's a synonym for during.
Evaluates expr and returns a list of network packets returns information on network packets transmitted or received through all interfaces on your network interfaces on your computer system during the evaluation process. Time of the evaluation, during the time of the evaluation, together with the result of the evaluation. I think that's pretty much what we want to say. And then we want to give the other arguments like port, like service and port and so on. Does that make sense? Yes, Ian?
Yeah, sorry, I was on, yes, that makes sense.
Okay, so if you can fill those in, that would be good. And then we have to say in the notes here, I mean, the trivial things like, let's see, something like this. Actually, it should be not hold all, but hold first, right?
Yeah.
And we probably should make this one, we should probably comment on this because it's useful. Okay, so we should also say network packet recording during of expert ... records packets. Well, it's starts recording packets. I think we could just say starts recording packets when expert starts being evaluated and stops recording when it is finished.
I mean, couldn't we also just say records packets while expert is being evaluated? That's a lot shorter.
Okay, fine. Well, then we're just repeating this.
Oh, well, I mean, I guess if we're just repeating that, then why?
Right, but what we want to say is, okay, records all packets
during the evaluation of
packets transmitted or received during the evaluation of expert, whether or not they were actually during the evaluation of expert, whether or not they are actually associated with the evaluation process, with the computation, with the evaluation process.
Maybe another way, whether or not they are actually generated by the evaluation.
Generated, okay, generated by the evaluation. That's fine. That's okay. All right. Okay. Well, I think we've got a solution here. It's not the. I mean, I think this will be okay. And this is certainly going to be the. I think it's going to be the most commonly used one of these, actually.
And what was the second usage there with no arguments?
It's not the second usage with no argument. It's incorrectly put. It should be expert comma service. And this might want to have a time constraint option if you can do it. Right. If the thing is really just like isn't ever coming back, you might want that time constraint.
Yeah, that's easy to implement.
Actually, you could do that, but in the sense, who cares? Because you can wrap a time constraint around the expert.
Yeah,
that's all I was going to do that often. So
okay, fine.
Yeah.
Then I wouldn't bother. Okay. All right. Let's declare victory here. I think this is okay. I think we're done now with the design for all the network packet stuff.
So you want Ian and me to fill out the x-axis there?
Could you please?
Yeah. Okay.
If you can send me a version, that'd be nice. But I think I can count on you to just do this. I think it's pretty straightforward from here on out. We also
okay. Wait, one
trivial knitting. Yes. Yes.
To confirm. So we decided that when you're doing when you're trying to specify the number of packets, going back to network packet recording, the number of packets is either specified as like a quantity of data packets,
yes,
or what was the other way that we were going to allow this?
Okay, so network packet recording, I think we should say packet count arrow n can be used to record exactly n packets. Okay, because I can imagine different cases that you actually want here. It might get a little bit more sophisticated because that assumes you're going to get n packets that match your criteria, correct?
If you specify a criteria, yes.
Right. But you might also want such and such a number of source packets, that is, examine 1 million packets and just return whichever ones actually match the criteria. As opposed to this one, which says, in the end, I want n packets out.
Wait, sorry, I missed that distinction. What do you mean?
Okay, so I mean, one case is 1 million packets came through the network interface. Only 6 of them were things I cared about. Okay, I want to examine 1 million packets to find out the ones I care about. Alternative, I want to get 100 packets that I care about. And I might
So-
have to examine 100 million packets to get that.
Yeah, so the how everything is implemented right now, we can only do I think we can only do the case where you get back however many packets you ask for. We can't do the case where you're like, look at this up to this many packets, regardless of
fine.
whether.
Okay, let's put that slightly weird usage in there and leave it at that for now. Okay, we have to like have some experience with these functions while they're still experimental, but I think this is okay.
Yeah, I think this will be all right.
And by the way, here we need to redo this documentation because this has to say T, service, et cetera, right? And I'm messing up the way that this is actually.
Should it be T or should we just do ... service? Because it could also be the packet count or a quantity.
All right, okay, we'll do ...
I mean, I can do this, but I just wanted to confirm that.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's probably the right thing to do. I was thinking of that initially, and then I thought, okay. Oh, here we need to be to change that to the span case. Okay, looking good. All right, and there's actually one guide page change. What the heck? I'll put that in right now since what was the guide page for these things?
Network programming.
You know, we've been so confused about this. I'm kind of thinking we should actually list these different cases here. Oh, what the heck? I'll list one of them. Let's just list the network packet recording during. Capture network activity during the evaluation of an expression.
I mean, shouldn't we just say record instead of during or capture?
And we have a rule that has to fit on one line. So record packets during the evaluation of an expression. Okay, and actually let me while we're at it doing this knitting, let me put this on the page for absolute timing and things. So this wants to be tuning and debugging and time measurement and optimization, probably. Tuning and debugging. Let's see, where would this go? Time. Well, it probably goes under network connectivity. And it probably gets its very own line. Record network activity. Let's say capture network activity during an evaluation. Okay. Okay, now do we want to also put this on, let's see what the other page was here. See whether that fits on the optimization page. Probably does not.
Maybe under the network timing section.
I don't think so, really. Unless we have no, because this is mostly just literally how long did it take, which is a different question. So I think we're good here.
One last thing that design keeps bugging me about. They think that it's best to get rid of the pause button. Do you want to keep the pause button in the capture dialog?
I have no opinion about the pause button. I think the pause button is fairly weird.
Okay, yeah, because that's kind of what I was thinking. Is that you want to start recording and then stop, and that there's not. I mean, for audio, it makes a little bit of sense if you want to record while some other event is going on and just pause while something else happens.
Yep.
And then resume again. But I don't think that exists with network packets.
I agree.
Okay, we will nix the pause button.
Okay. All right. Are we done here?
I think so.
Great. Okay. Long road, but I think we made it. These will be nice and useful functions. All right.
All right. Thank
See
you.
you guys soon. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.